In the realm of spiritual growth, overcoming the obstacles that hinder our path to enlightenment is a major undertaking. We are often faced with challenges and temptations that threaten to derail our path. But what are these anti-spiritual elements, and how can we overcome them in our quest for inner peace and wisdom? By delving into the teachings of spiritual guru Dolores Cannon, we uncover 7 crucial factors that must be avoided in order to maintain spiritual alignment and growth. Join us as we explore these transformative insights and embark on a journey to greater spiritual awareness and fulfillment. Subscribe to our channel today to embark on this enlightening journey together and unlock the secrets of spiritual empowerment and enlightenment. Negative thinking and self-talk are powerful opponents on the path to spiritual growth. They can cloud our minds, drain our energy, and hinder our progress. When we succumb to negative thoughts and beliefs, we create a self-perpetuating cycle of pessimism and limitation that distorts our perception of reality and hinders our ability to realize our desires. At the core of negative thinking is the ego, which thrives on separation, fear, and lack. The ego attempts to maintain control by keeping us trapped in a state of perpetual dissatisfaction, convincing us that we are unworthy, inadequate, or powerless. This negative self-talk reinforces limiting beliefs about ourselves and the world around us, setting in motion a downward spiral of despair and hopelessness. To free ourselves from the grip of negative thinking, we need to cultivate awareness of our thoughts and beliefs and recognize that they are not inherently true or unchangeable. We can begin by observing our inner dialogue and recognizing negative patterns such as self-criticism, comparison, or catastrophizing. By bringing these thought patterns into the light of awareness, we can begin to question their validity and replace them with more encouraging and uplifting perspectives. Practicing mindfulness and presence is another effective strategy to combat negative thinking. By anchoring ourselves in the present moment, we can disengage from the incessant chatter of the mind and develop a sense of inner peace and calm. Through mindfulness practices such as meditation, breath work, or body awareness, we can learn to observe our thoughts without judging them and develop a greater sense of spaciousness and clarity in our minds. It is also important to cultivate gratitude and positivity to counteract negative thoughts and direct our focus towards abundance and blessings. By consciously cultivating an attitude of gratitude and appreciation for the blessings in our lives, we can reprogram our brains to perceive the world through a lens of abundance rather than scarcity. This shift in perspective allows us to tap into the infinite reservoir of positivity and joy that lies within us and empowers us to face life's challenges with grace and resilience. In summary, negative thinking and self-talk are formidable obstacles on the spiritual path, undermining our well-being and preventing us from realizing our true potential. By cultivating awareness, mindfulness, gratitude, and positivity, we can free ourselves from the grip of negativity and embrace a more powerful and fulfilling way of life. We should commit to cultivating a positive attitude and abundance, knowing that our thoughts have the power to shape our reality and create a life full of joy, meaning, and fulfillment. Attachment to material possessions is a common obstacle on the spiritual path, as it often leads to a distorted sense of identity and an overemphasis on external validation and gratification. In a world that glorifies material wealth and possessions, it is easy to equate our worth and happiness with the things we own. However, true fulfillment and inner peace cannot be found in material wealth alone. At the core of the attachment to material possessions is the belief that external objects can give us lasting happiness and fulfillment. We become attached to the idea that acquiring more possessions will give us a sense of security, status, or validation, and we often measure our success and self-worth by the size of our bank account or the possessions we accumulate. However, this attachment only serves to perpetuate a cycle of dissatisfaction and longing. No matter how much we acquire, we always want more, chasing the elusive promise of happiness and fulfillment that never seems to materialize. In our relentless pursuit of external validation, we lose sight of our true nature and become disconnected from the deeper sources of meaning and fulfillment in our lives. To overcome attachment to material possessions, we need to develop a deeper understanding of our true nature and inner worth beyond the external trappings. We can begin by examining our motivations for acquiring material possessions and questioning whether they align with our values and spiritual goals. By becoming aware of the underlying beliefs and desires that drive our attachment to material wealth, we can begin to unravel their influence on our lives. Another important step in overcoming attachment to material possessions is to practice detachment. Detachment does not mean renouncing all possessions or living in poverty, but cultivating an attitude of non-attachment and freeing ourselves from dependence on external objects in order to be happy and fulfilled. By letting go of our attachment to certain outcomes and possessions, we create space for more inner peace, contentment, and spiritual growth. Furthermore, cultivating gratitude for what we already have can help us shift our focus away from what we lack and towards the abundance that surrounds us. By recognizing and appreciating the blessings in our lives, we can cultivate a sense of abundance and fulfillment that goes beyond material wealth. To summarize, attachment to material possessions is a major obstacle on the spiritual path and prevents us from developing inner peace, contentment, and spiritual growth. By examining our motives, practicing detachment, and cultivating gratitude, we can overcome attachment to material wealth and adopt a more meaningful and fulfilling way of life. We should remember that true wealth lies not in what we possess, but in the fullness of our inner being and the depth of our relationships with others. Identification with the ego is one of the most insidious obstacles on the spiritual path. It involves identification with the ego, a false sense of self that thrives on separation, judgment, and fear. The ego is the voice in our head that tells us that we are separate from others, that we must compete and compare ourselves to others in order to feel worthy, and that our value is based on external achievements and possessions. When we identify with the ego, we are trapped in an endless cycle of comparison, judgment, and self-doubt. We measure our worth by external standards such as wealth, status, or appearance and constantly seek validation and approval from others to bolster our fragile self-esteem. However, the ego is not who we really are. It is a construct of the mind, a collection of thoughts, beliefs, and conditioned patterns that have been shaped by our upbringing, society, and past experiences. Beneath the layers of the ego lies our true essence, a spark of divine consciousness that is connected to all of creation. To overcome identification with the ego, we must first become aware of its presence in our lives. We can do this by observing our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors with detached awareness and recognizing the egoic patterns of thought and behavior that arise within us. Through self-exploration and introspection, we can begin to loosen the grip of the ego on our lives and reclaim our true identity as spiritual beings. Another effective antidote to ego identification is to practice humility. Humility means that we recognize that we are connected to all of creation and that we are not separate from others. When we face life with humility, we let go of the need to compete, compare, and assert our superiority over others. Instead, we develop a sense of unity, compassion, and cooperation. In addition, cultivating self-awareness and mindfulness is important to overcome identification with the ego. By staying present in the moment and observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment, we can free ourselves from the grip of the ego and connect with our true essence. Through practices such as meditation, breath work, and self-reflection, we can deepen our connection to our innermost being and experience a deep sense of peace, clarity, and wholeness. To summarize, identifying with the ego is a major obstacle on the spiritual path and prevents us from connecting with our true essence and living authentically. Let us remember that our true identity is not defined by the ego, but by the boundless love, wisdom, and compassion that resides within us. I am happy for you that you have been on this journey with us so far. If this video has touched your heart or brought you new insights, it would be wonderful if you would really support us. You can become a channel member. It's easy to do via the link in the description below this video. Then, for a small monthly donation, you can watch all new videos before they are public to everyone else. If you decide to do this, thank you. After all, we are all here to grow and learn together, and your support is the light that illuminates our path. Resistance to change is a natural human tendency rooted in our fear of the unknown and our attachment to familiarity and comfort. However, on the spiritual path, resistance to change can become a significant obstacle that hinders our growth and development. Change is an inevitable part of life, a constant process of flux and transformation that propels us forward on our spiritual journey. However, when we resist change, we cling to the past and prevent ourselves from embracing new opportunities for growth, healing, and expansion. Resistance to change often stems from a fear of the unknown and a desire to maintain control over our lives. We fear the uncertainty and unpredictability of change and worry about what the future might bring and whether we will be able to adapt to new circumstances. Therefore, we cling to the security of the familiar even if it no longer serves our highest good. However, when we resist change, we stagnate and limit our potential for growth and change. Change is not to be feared, but embraced as an opportunity for growth, renewal, and expansion. When we open ourselves to change, we invite new possibilities into our lives and create space for more fulfillment and joy. To overcome resistance to change, we need to cultivate an attitude of openness, flexibility, and trust in the universe. Instead of clinging to the past or fearing the future, we should embrace change as a catalyst for our spiritual development. Through practices such as mindfulness, meditation, and self-reflection, we can learn to embrace the present moment and surrender to the flow of life. In this way, we can develop the resilience and inner strength to navigate life's changes with grace and ease. It is also important to let go of the need for control and trust in the wisdom of the universe. When we relinquish our attachment to certain outcomes and surrender to the natural rhythm of life, we allow more synchronicity and flow into our lives. We begin to see change not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth and expansion, a chance to realize our highest potential and enjoy life to the fullest. To summarize, resistance to change is a major obstacle on the spiritual path as it hinders our ability to grow, evolve, and embrace new possibilities. By cultivating openness, flexibility, and trust in the universe, we can overcome resistance to change and embark on a journey of profound transformation and self-discovery. Let us embrace change as a natural and inevitable part of life and trust that it is the key to our greatest growth and fulfillment. Unresolved trauma and emotional baggage can weigh heavily on our souls, hindering our spiritual growth and preventing us from experiencing true inner peace and fulfillment. Traumatic experiences from our past, whether physical, emotional, or psychological, can leave deep scars in our psyche and create patterns of dysfunction and suffering in our lives. When we carry around unresolved trauma and emotional baggage, we are unable to fully engage in the present moment and live authentically. Instead, we are haunted by the ghosts of our past, replaying painful memories and reliving past traumas in our minds. This constant cycle of re-traumatization keeps us trapped in a state of fear, anxiety, and disconnection from ourselves and others. Furthermore, unresolved trauma and emotional baggage can manifest in a variety of ways, such as depression, anxiety, addiction, and dysfunctional relationships. These symptoms are often attempts by the psyche to cope with and numb the pain of past trauma, but they ultimately serve to perpetuate the cycle of suffering and prevent us from experiencing true healing and wholeness. Additionally, spiritual practices such as meditation, breathwork, and energy healing can support the process of trauma healing by calming the nervous system, releasing emotional blockages, and connecting us to our inner wisdom and resilience. By combining therapeutic and spiritual healing approaches, we can address unresolved trauma and emotional baggage on a physical, emotional, and spiritual level, paving the way for greater peace, wholeness, and spiritual growth. In summary, unresolved trauma and emotional baggage are significant obstacles on the spiritual path as they prevent us from experiencing true healing, wholeness, and inner peace. By confronting our past, seeking support, and engaging in the process of healing and integration, we can overcome these obstacles and embark on a journey to greater peace, wholeness, and spiritual growth. We can overcome these obstacles and embark on a journey of profound transformation and self-discovery. Let us embark on the healing journey with courage and compassion, knowing that true liberation awaits on the other side of our pain and suffering. In the pursuit of spiritual growth, it is important to prioritize self-care and set healthy boundaries that protect our physical, emotional, and mental well-being. However, many people neglect their own needs and fail to set boundaries, leading to feelings of burnout, resentment, and disconnection from their authentic self. Lack of self-care can manifest itself in various forms: neglecting our physical health, ignoring our emotional needs, and neglecting our spiritual practices. When we neglect our self-care, we impair our ability to fully develop in the world and realize our highest potential. When we fail to set healthy boundaries, we can become vulnerable to manipulation, exploitation, and emotional overload. To overcome the lack of self-care and boundaries, we need to prioritize our well-being and set clear boundaries that take our needs and values into account. This includes making time for self-care practices such as exercise, meditation, journaling, or spending time in nature. By taking care of our physical, emotional, and mental health, we replenish our energy reserves and create a solid foundation for spiritual growth and inner peace. It is also important to set healthy boundaries in our relationships and daily interactions. This can mean refusing activities or commitments that drain our energy, asserting our needs and preferences, and communicating our boundaries clearly. By respecting our boundaries, we protect our energy and maintain our inner peace so that we can fully develop in the world and contribute our unique gifts and talents. In summary, a lack of self-care and boundaries are significant obstacles on the spiritual path as they hinder our ability to nurture our well-being and build healthy relationships with ourselves and others. By prioritizing self-care and setting clear boundaries, we create the space for more fulfillment, joy, and spiritual growth in our lives. Let's respect our needs and values, because we know that self-care and boundaries are essential ingredients for a balanced, authentic, and self-determined life. Striving for external validation hinders spiritual growth as it relies on the approval of others to define self-worth. Seeking external validation leads to a lack of self-confidence and self-esteem, perpetuating feelings of unworthiness. Relying on external validation leads to insecurity and dependence on the opinions of others to determine self-worth and promotes disconnection from internal validation. To overcome this obstacle, it is important to cultivate self-worth independent of external opinions. Practices such as self-love and self-acceptance promote inner affirmation and empower people to recognize their own worth, authenticity, and alignment with personal values. In addition, trusting inner wisdom and accepting authenticity help people reclaim their power over self-worth and overcome the limitations of external validation. Ultimately, detachment from external validation fosters true self-empowerment and spiritual growth, leading to a deeper connection with the true self. If you feel that this video has had value for you so far, I would love for you to share that value with a donation through the Super Thanks button below the video, as much as feels right and fair to you. Any gesture of appreciation is a valuable gift to me recording these videos. To summarize, embracing the signs of growth in our spiritual journey empowers us to navigate challenges with grace. Let's acknowledge our progress and trust that every hurdle leads to self-knowledge and enlightenment. Subscribe to the newsletter for deeper insights and guidance, and join our community so we can explore the mysteries of the soul together. If you know someone whose day could be brightened by this video, feel free to share it with them. Your generosity and commitment is what makes our community so special. Thank you for being a part of it and walking this path with us. I wish you only good things on your journey.